Welcome, brave souls, to the twisted tales that reside in the heart of darkness. You have entered the realm of echoes of apparitions, a channel dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of the paranormal and exploring the darkest corners of our world. Before we begin our descent into the abyss, I invite you to join our ever-growing community of paranormal enthusiasts. If you're not already a subscriber, consider hitting that red subscribe button right now. And for those who dare to embrace the unknown, don't forget to tap the like button and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss a bone-chilling episode. Today, we embark on a journey into the heart of darkness, a place where the echoes of suffering still reverberate through time. Our story begins in the forsaken halls of an abandoned asylum, high in the treacherous Appalachians, where four intrepid explorers will come face to face with the supernatural. Hold your breath and steel your nerves, for the tale I'm about to weave will chill you to your very core. The abandoned asylum perched ominously on the slopes of the unforgiving Appalachians, casting a foreboding shadow over the dense, ancient forest that surrounded it. Towering trees whispered secrets of the asylum's dark history, their branches gnarled like the twisted minds that had once resided within. The group of four adventurous friends entered the asylum through broken gates that had long surrendered to nature's relentless reclaim. A chilling wind swept through the overgrown courtyard, carrying with it the distant cries of the forgotten souls that had once called this place home. As they stepped over the threshold, the world seemed to shift. The air grew icy, and the oppressive silence was punctuated only by the echo of their hesitant footsteps. Dim light filtered through shattered windows, casting eerie patterns on the decaying walls. Their flashlights pierced the thick darkness as they explored room after room. The asylum's corridors twisted like a labyrinth, each turn revealing more of its chilling history. Forgotten artifacts of pain and despair lay strewn about, like relics from a gruesome museum of human suffering. Time seemed to lose its meaning as they delved deeper into the asylum's heart. The weight of the past pressed down upon them, and the walls themselves seemed to close in, whispering the torment of 1,000 anguished souls. In a room deep within the asylum's bowels, Alex, the group's leader, suggested they go further, deeper, and more personal in their exploration. The atmosphere grew even more oppressive as they retrieved a dusty Ouija board from Sarah's backpack. Its planchette, worn with age, seemed to beckon them to communicate with the spirits that lingered. With trepidation, they placed their hands on the planchette and began to ask questions. At first, there was nothing but silence, broken only by the creaking of the asylum around them. Then, the planchette began to move, spelling out words in a language that felt both foreign and malevolent. They watched in horror as the board revealed the name Dr. Sullivan and spelled out the chilling message. He watches, he waits. You are not alone. Fear gripped the group as they hastily closed the Ouija board. But the chilling presence of Dr. Sullivan lingered in the air, an invisible menace that seemed to mock their feeble attempts to escape. As they ventured deeper into the asylum's depths, the malevolent presence of Dr. Sullivan became palpable. Shadows danced on the walls, and the temperature dropped to bone-chilling levels. The group's breaths were shallow, and their hearts raced as they felt the sinister presence drawing closer. In a narrow, dimly lit corridor, they suddenly found themselves surrounded by the spectral figures of Dr. Sullivan's tormented victims. Their hollow eyes bore into the souls of the living, and their agonized moans reverberated through the very walls of the asylum. Mike, the skeptic who had scoffed at the supernatural, felt a cold hand close around his throat, squeezing tighter and tighter. Panic surged through him as he gasped for breath, clawing at the unseen force that threatened to snuff out his life. Emily, usually the voice of reason, was next to fall victim to the malevolent forces. A force unseen dragged her along the corridor, her screams echoing through the asylum's haunted halls. Her terrified pleas for help were drowned out by the cacophony of anguished spirits. Dr. Sullivan, the asylum's chief physician, had been a man consumed by madness and cruelty. Born into wealth, he had used his position to satisfy his insatiable curiosity about the human mind. Patients were subjected to unspeakable horrors, psychological experiments that plunged them into the darkest depths of despair. Dr. Sullivan's diaries, written in a twisted, manic hand, detailed the gruesome experiments he had performed. He had relished in breaking his patients' spirits, pushing them beyond the limits of human endurance in the pursuit of his twisted vision of science. One particularly chilling entry described an experiment in which he had isolated a patient in a lightless cell for months, subjecting them to torturous isolation. Another detailed the use of electroshock therapy in cruel and sadistic ways. The group, now reduced to Alex and Sarah, continued to navigate the asylum's nightmarish corridors. The malevolent presence of Dr. Sullivan grew stronger with each step, his spectral presence manifesting in flickering lights and ominous whispers that seemed to come from the very walls themselves. In a dimly lit chamber, they found themselves face to face with a ghastly apparition, the vengeful spirit of Dr. Sullivan himself. His eyes, devoid of any trace of humanity, glowed with an eerie malevolence as he drifted closer, his form shrouded in a sickly, ethereal mist. With a voice that sent shivers down their spines, Dr. Sullivan hissed, "You dared to unearth my secrets, to trespass into my domain. Now, you shall become a part of this cursed asylum forever." With a wave of his spectral hand, he unleashed a torrent of psychic energy that sent Alex and Sarah crashing to the floor. They screamed in terror as they felt their very souls being torn asunder, their vision filled with nightmarish visions of the horrors Dr. Sullivan had inflicted upon his patients. Desperation coursed through them as they clung to their fading consciousness. Sarah, with the last of her strength, reached into her backpack and retrieved a small vial of blessed water. She flung it at the malevolent spirit, causing it to wail in agony as the holy water seared its essence. In that moment of distraction, Alex and Sarah managed to crawl through the exit. The asylum seemed to groan in agony as they made their escape, the malevolent presence of Dr. Sullivan retreating with a vengeful fury. Gasping for breath, Alex and Sarah stumbled out of the forsaken asylum, their bodies battered and spirits shattered. They knew they had survived a nightmarish encounter with a malevolent force that defied human comprehension. The first light of dawn illuminated the horizon, banishing the darkness that had held them captive. As they gazed back at the asylum, they made a solemn promise to never speak of their harrowing experience to anyone. Some horrors were simply too dark to share. In the days that followed, they sought solace in each other's company, haunted by the memories of their encounter with the malevolent Dr. Sullivan. The asylum remained a forsaken relic on the slopes of the Appalachians, a grim reminder of the darkness that lurked in the hearts of men. And so, the tale of the abandoned asylum in the unforgiving Appalachians remained untold, hidden away like the tortured secrets of its past. Alex and Sarah had escaped with their lives, but the echoes of their nightmarish encounter would haunt them for the rest of their days. And there, in the presence of the malevolent Dr. Sullivan, our brave explorers faced a darkness that defied human comprehension. The asylum's horrors were but an echo of the evil he had unleashed. If you've found yourself enthralled by this tale, consider joining our community of paranormal enthusiasts by subscribing to Echoes of Apparitions. Leave a like if you've felt the chill of the supernatural, and don't forget to enable those bell notifications. Until next time, my fellow seekers of the unknown.